Coming up, meet a family where multiple generations have taken to the skies, continuing a legacy of flight. Then, step onto a family farm and discover the history and heart behind the land. Plus, see how a vinyl record show is bringing back memories and connecting generations through music.
I started out going to shows, and then back in 2017, my wife and I decided Ames needs to have a show too.
These stories and more start now on Studio 308.
Welcome to Studio 308. I'm Ashley Hummel. We'll have these stories, plus we'll hear how one individual is helping unhoused members in the Story County. But first, the current status of Iowa State basketball, as we see major roster changes. For more, we're joined by Cleah Phillips, our Segment 5. Good evening, Cleah.
Thank you, Ashley. Both Iowa State men's and women's basketball are seeing significant departures at the end of the season. Women's basketball players Addie Brown and Jada Williams have announced their plans to enter the transfer portal, joining 7 other players for the women's team. Brown played 3 seasons in an Iowa State uniform. She took to Instagram thanking her coaches, teammates, and Cyclone fans for their support, stating, "This decision comes after a lot of thought about my future and goals." Williams, who transferred from the University of Arizona to Iowa State for the 2025 to 2026 season, also shared her thanks on social media, saying she felt embraced by the Iowa State community. On the men's team, Milan Momcilovic has told Cyclone Alert he plans to declare for the upcoming NBA draft. Momcilovic shot an NCAA best, 49.3% on three-pointers this season with the Cyclones. If he decides against staying in the draft, he still has a year of collegiate eligibility. Heading into the offseason, both Iowa State teams will see significant roster changes. The offseason approaching may be a bummer for many college basketball fans, but March Madness is at the height of success for many local restaurants. The Boulder Tap House is located in the heart of Ames, and customers often begin arriving early before games to get a prime-time seat. The restaurant was certainly lively on Friday as Iowa State and Tennessee faced off to see who would advance to the Elite Eight, which ensured packed restaurants.
We try to make sure we have enough staff that are trained properly so that they know how everything works and runs, and then we also try to make sure that everyone is pretty good with teamwork and working together. That way we're running each other's drinks, running each other's food, making sure that everything's moving. Even if one person gets a little bit behind, someone else can pick up the slack for them. That way we just make sure everyone's taken care of.
When it comes down to preparations taken by the Boulder Tap House team, things are taken to the next level for March Madness. On Saturday, around 500 protesters were in attendance at the No Kings protest in Ankeny, one of thousands across the country. Organizers say these events provide a way for people to voice their frustrations. Community members gathered at Summerbrook Park, holding handwritten signs, interacting with each other while waving to cars passing by that honked to show their support. March 28th marked the 3rd major iteration of the No Kings protest, with participation in cities across the country continuing to increase. The Ankeny community showed out in numbers for the protest.
I was going to say the fact that there are so many protests in a relatively small geographic area, that we get almost 500 people here in Ankeny, is amazing, and just shows that we've got a real chance to turn Ankeny around and get more Democratic voices involved.
With many other protests across Iowa, participants hope their message is heard and change is made. Protest signs are not the only things drivers are noticing out on the roads. For many commuters, filling up the tank is not as simple as it used to be. Increasing prices are leaving drivers paying more and more each time they pull up to the pump. Recent geopolitical conflicts, oil supply tension, and seasonal market events in the Middle East are causing a significant rise in gasoline prices. This increase is turning what used to be a quick and easy stop into a burning hole in drivers' pockets. In Des Moines, major changes are in the works at the airport. The new expansion project at the Des Moines International Airport is aiming to improve the experience for travelers across central Iowa. The plans include an increase in the number of gates from 12 to 22 by 2029, as well as faster security and enhanced baggage systems. This project will also include new dining and shopping areas, along with over 1,000 new parking spaces. The first phase of construction is set to open in early 2027. According to travel advisor Mary Herbert, with Envision It Vacations, the upgrades will provide better access and smoother experience for travelers. I don't know about you, Ashley, but I definitely think an elevated experience is what travelers are looking for at the airport.
Thank you, Cleah. I think those shorter lines will definitely help. Next, we are joined by Caleb Sheldon at the Waterloo Regional Airport to learn more about a family with a one-of-a-kind connection that has lasted for several generations. Caleb, just how unique is it for a person to get to fly a plane?
Yeah, Ashley, only 2 in 10,000 people will ever become a pilot in their life. But for this family, it's been a tradition that's gone on for nearly a century.
When you look at the sky, it's easy to see the planes, but it's not so easy to see the people. Dave Hummel works with Kids Fly Free and serves as a certified flight instructor at the Waterloo Regional Airport. These experiences with the younger generation harkens back to his youth, where growing up with family inspired his passion for flying.
My dad had an airplane, a Cessna 182, 1958 model, and he used to take that up and fly around the local area, and I was asked to go along.
Dave's father, Russell Hummel, began to fly at an early age, doing his part to serve the country he called home.
He got out of high school, and I believe he could have been around 20 years old before he enlisted in the service, and become a pilot for the it used to be called the United States Army Air Corps is what it was. Nowadays they call it the Air Force. It was something I wanted to do for him. You know, I wanted to fly, and I started learning to fly back in 1981. And I learned in Cessna that's what he was flying. So I wanted to keep it going in our family. At least somebody got to fly and got their license and continue on with it and kind of share it with our kids and grandkids.
Dave and Russell's legacy didn't end there. After a generation on the ground, Landon Hummel became the next in the family tree to take to the skies.
Most of my family members would be pilots. Even when I was a kid, I flew up with Dave. When I was flying with him, it was such a rush, and you don't get anything like it. I fly at 172. It's a Cessna. I graduated from University of Dubuque last year. Graduated early as well. So right now I'm just trying to finish my training. So just finishing up my commercial. I know Dave is extremely proud of me. He's always been in the back cheering me on. I guaranteed my grandpa would be super proud of me. Yeah, I hope to inspire a future generation of Hummels.
Although their paths were different, the Hummels continue to roam the skies and hope to see more and more families experience the joys of piloting.
Next, Brodie Figgins travels south to discover how a farm in Iowa preserves its history and its family values.
In Polk City, Iowa, Meckley Farms has been in the same family for 8 generations, building a legacy that continues today.
Well, our ancestors moved here from Switzerland in 1852, and then they homesteaded in 1854, right here where we're standing. And they had lots of horses. I know they always talk about all the horses and plow and sod. And then, well, I guess other than that, they worked real hard. And
I don't know, I just think about how tough they were to, we go out with a huge tractor and use that, and they did that with horses in their hands, And I just feel small when I think about that.
In this single moment, 3 generations of the Meckley family come together, each one tied to the same land, and each one part of what the farm has become.
I'm hoping my 3 boys will just keep doing what I do and grow it bigger, and everything just prospers, That's what everybody wants.
And with that upbringing comes an understanding that this way of life has been passed down before and could be again.
I'd say just Dad's always done it and my grandpa's always done it, so just continuing that, I guess.
For those who built the foundation, seeing that mindset continue is what keeps the story alive.
Oh, I just want to see it go on. And then that's what my my parents wanted to see, and my grandparents wanted to see that too. And so that's what we're going to do.
And with every generation that follows, the same question remains. What will those who came before think of what it has become?
I think John and Marilyn, who they're our 5th generation, I think they'd be tickled. I think they would be just blown away at some of the opportunities that we've had these past few years, especially with the cattle operation. I know that was near and dear to them, so I think they'd be tickled.
Well, they'd probably say, wow, how much we've grown it, and the equipment, and the genetics in our livestock are so much better. They would be amazed.
From those who first built it to those growing up in it today, Meckley Farms remains a story of family, one that has lasted 8 generations and continues to move forward.
In tonight's Face-to-Face, we sit down with someone dedicated to improving the lives of disadvantaged members in the Story County community and was awarded for her work. Here's Delaney Peterson with more.
Thank you, Ashley. Joining me now is Kathy Pinkerton, recipient of the 2025 Home for Everyone Award presented by the Ames Human Relations Commission. Thank you so much for joining me today, Kathy. When you received this award, what did it mean to you and what type of work did it take?
So it was thrilling to receive it. I was very surprised. My job is pretty unique in that I can help people who are unhoused, I can help people find shelter, and I can also keep people in their homes and find homes for people that don't have one. So to be awarded for something that I do as my work, it was just thrilling.
Yeah, and you talk about that, everything that you do. Why did you choose this career path?
So I grew up on military bases, and my father was a career Air Force, and I watched the social workers with the VA, and I thought that the work they did was just very important. And then when my dad retired to Iowa, I started volunteering at the Boone County Home. And I saw that there are people that tend to be forgotten, they're very vulnerable, and I think everybody deserves someone in their lives and deserves a purpose and deserves to have the help that they need.
Awesome, and through everything that you see, what keeps you motivated and what just drives you to do what you do?
That I've been doing this for 40 years and we still have issues that need to be resolved. So the fact that even though we have a lot of people involved and a lot of people trying, it's a very systemic problem. There's always going to be people that need our assistance, and I think that we just need to keep doing the work to make sure that that happens.
Absolutely. And we're approaching the 1-year anniversary of you receiving this award during April, which is Fair Housing Month. What needs in housing have you seen and how can people get involved?
So we do still need more people that are involved. There's volunteers that you can do. You can mentor people. We need people to assist with food drives, hygiene drives, furniture when people go from housed or unhoused to housed. A lot of times they've lost all of their possessions. And so the fact that they've got a roof over their head, if you have nothing to sleep on, nothing to keep you entertained, that's important. And everyone deserves dignity. And so I think that that's something that needs to continue. I think we've done a lot of work through our host team, which is Homeless Outreach Support Team. We have a warming center that happened this year, so no one had to stay out in the cold overnight. So I think that we've done a lot, but there's just always going to be things that need to happen.
Yeah, and you talk about the homeless outreach program that you do and you're a part of. What specific services or resources are you providing there?
So we started that just over a year ago, and it was just a couple of us, and it just keeps growing. We have so many agencies that are assisting, and the goal is to do wraparound services. So each of us together in a collaborative effort can make sure that we look at everyone individually for what they need, for what their strengths are, for what things need to happen to help them become successful. And so each agency plays a part, and between all of us, I think that we can do so much more work in such a shorter amount of time.
Yeah, and another role that you play is the Service Center Administrator for the Salvation Army, and you're seeing things happen firsthand through your eyes. What are some of the biggest things that you're seeing and that need to be focused on?
Our biggest program is probably always going to be our food pantry program. There's a lot of food pantries in Story County, but there's always going to be people who just can't quite afford to put enough food on the table with the food prices rising, with gas prices rising, all of that. It just becomes more expensive. Rents are rising. So we see more people with that, but I'm also seeing a huge increase in people who are elderly, people who have disabilities, either intellectual or physical, becoming unhoused and not being able to get housed again. So I would say that's our second biggest program right now.
Yeah, and you talk about the food pantry, especially here in Ames. What types of people are going there, and is it for everybody, or?
It's for everyone. Story County residents. We receive food from food drives. We purchase it through the Food Bank of Iowa. People can come in if they're unhoused on a daily basis because you don't have a place to store food when you're unhoused, and so you need to get it on a daily basis. Everyone else can come in weekly, and then they can get a full pantry once a month. And we take orders, so people aren't getting what they won't eat. That could be a cultural reason, it could be dietary reasons, it could be you just don't like canned peas, and so then we make sure that you get things that you will eat. So that's one of the things that's unique about us, and that means we need more volunteers that way then to help get the shelves stocked, to help load those food boxes.
Yeah, and you talk about homelessness in the unhoused communities. What do you want people to know about that?
That they are our neighbors, they're our family, our friends. I hear rumors all the time that they're being bussed in from Des Moines or from Cedar Rapids or from bigger towns, and that's not the case. They are long-term residents who have had some things happen and now are just really struggling to get back into a place. So I think it's important to know that, yes, these are our neighbors.
And finally, what type of legacy do you want to leave?
I want to be known as someone who listens and who tries really hard to understand, and again, treats people with dignity and has empathy for what's going on.
Amazing. Well, thank you for everything that you do.
Thank you.
Her work continues to improve the lives of countless individuals in the community through various ways. Ashley?
Thank you, Delaney. Finally, tonight, Gabe Ploeger takes us to a record show in Ames, where vinyl collectors share how physical media has stood the test of time.
North Grand Mall in Ames, Iowa is usually just your typical mall. But it's not every day that the halls are filled with nostalgia. The Spring Ames Record Show offers a wide variety of items, ranging from records of all genres, artists, and decades, boxes filled with cassette tapes with current artists and older ones, more CDs than you can count, and even renovated appliances from record players to speakers and other electronics. But the record show actually isn't about the items or the prices, but instead, it's about something much more personal. Whether it's the vendors themselves or the customers, everyone shares their love for music. Stories are told and nostalgia is lurking between each vinyl. Kit Ricardo, owner of No Skip Records, has been attending the Ames event for years and talks about how music has a way of healing.
Music sounds like a cliche, but you have people on both sides that really care for the same artist, the same music, even though you can't see eye to eye on some issues. So I think that's really the main thing, brings people together, and then they just enjoy themselves and then find some good music to listen to.
At the heart of the show is genuine human connection. Another vendor, Brian Bejarano, took the opportunity to honor a dear friend of his who passed away, Stephen Moberg, with his own custom vinyl. The show has its share of great albums, rare and vintage CDs, and even posters. But it's also filled with people who love to reminisce. George Noble is the man behind it all, as he's been the show's sponsor in Ames since 2017. If anyone understands the importance of these shows, it's George.
It's the nostalgia part of it, and also memories, because a lot of people will come into my store and they'll start looking around, or even today, I've had a number of people that'll be looking around and they're just like, oh, I remember this. I remember this. I remember doing this with my dad. I remember doing this with my grandma. It's those memories.
It's those very memorials that have worked to keep records alive across all these years, as they now are in the midst of a large comeback with younger generations. George runs his own shop, Vintage Vinyl, in North Grand Mall, where he works year-round, keeping the music going as a bridge across all generations.
We had a lot of great stories tonight, from the generations of farms, to the gas prices, to the family of pilots and the construction.
Yeah, 100%. I really cannot wait to see what the community has to say about the airport construction going forward.
Absolutely, and it was great to hear from Kathy Pinkerton and just the incredible things that she's doing throughout the community, both Ames and Story County.
Thank you, Delaney. For Delaney Peterson and Cleah Phillips, I'm Ashley Hummel. Thanks for joining us on Studio 308.